morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomos, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-development. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. The place is a bit windy, so I'm really hoping that there's not going to be wind in my video, so you guys will forgive me for that. Now, let me speak to the chosen ones in this video. So we're going to dive a little bit into spirituality this time. A lot of you guys are waking up, and eventually you're also noticing that actually you have always had specific particular gifts. So when we're talking about gifts, we talk about spiritual gifts, we talk about physical gifts, we talk about a lot of things, we talk about talents. You might have noticed that actually you're starting to discover your true authenticity and exactly who you really are. And most of those times, when you discover that gift, you want to step into that gift and be the person you came here to be. Now, most of the time, as you wake up, of course, for whichever reason, you might have been abused for quite a good number of time, a good number of years. You might have been born in a dysfunctional family, so you might have also been a black sheep. You will usually realize that actually when you wake up, you're starting to question life and everything that life has got to offer. So most of the times, you start to scramble around for your path, for your life path, for your purpose. You start to scramble around and start to discover what exactly did you come here to do, because now you're realizing that most of the life you've been living has been an illusion, and you want your life to have purpose, you want your life to have meaning. So most of the times, a lot of guys who wake up, they also start to scramble around and look around and dig around for their purpose. Eventually, that purpose is going to come to you. I've told you guys, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how far you run away from it. The purpose will always reveal yourself to you. But most of the times, that purpose is not going to be exactly that thing that you've ever thought about in your entire life. So it is going to be something extraordinary, very, very different, and it's going to also take you by surprise. So what happens is that as you discover your purpose, you also discover your calling. And that is exactly where the game changes, is sometimes permanently. The game is going to change completely, and usually that is going to also take a lot of people around you by surprise. So I want to prepare you chosen ones in this video. I want to prepare you as you find your calling, as you step into your calling, as you discover your calling. I want to prepare you for exactly what is going to happen next. That calling of yours, as much as it takes you by surprise and as much as it comes to you unexpected, it is also going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. So there is a lot of people around you that they are not used to you in that way. So they are not used to that version of you. They are not used to that version of you who has decided to step out of the box and think outside of the box. Because the calling, usually what happens, the calling also takes you out of your comfort zone. You may not necessarily have to leave your job. You may not necessarily just, of course, wake up and abandon your job or things like that. You may always have a job. Of course, you might have had a permanent job you've been doing before. But when you step your calling, let me tell you something. The first thing you're going to realize is that you are very eager and very anxious to step out of your comfort zone and start to follow your calling. In this particular spot, when I discovered my calling, I made my first video. I think it was around that spot. If you guys can see the place, it's around that tree there. That's where I made my first video. And that video was about my spiritual awakening journey. How I got awakened. And I remember exactly from that video, that's exactly when I took off. So, as you go on your journey of spiritual growth and development, there is going to be a lot of resistance. So, there is a lot of people who have been in your circle. You've been having a lot of these so-called best friends, relatives, family members, I don't know, whatever it is. So, there is a lot of people they're not going to get you. You know what I mean? They have even, in the first place, you as a black sheep, if I've been a black sheep as well, you have also noticed that actually a lot of people don't get you. Your thinking mechanism, your thinking ways, your behaviors, your personality has always completely different. As a chosen one, you're also going to notice that your path has always been very different. You have usually been thinking outside the box, even without you knowing it. You have been doing extraordinary things without you knowing it. Whether it is something you have been doing physically, or whether it has been just the way you think, or even just sometimes things as simple as your personality. So most of the times, when you go on to discover your calling, a lot of people start to have a lot of resistance, and a lot of people, they start to resent you. Now, most of the times, if you're a weak fella, if you're a weak person out there, you may sometimes think that maybe sometimes you're doing the wrong thing. So you may sometimes look around, and it's like your family members, they are completely doing something different. It's like you're trying to tell them things, you're explaining to them things, they don't understand you. Sometimes they are fighting with you, they're rejecting you, they're resenting you. Most of the times, when you see a lot of people starting to resent you and to refuse to be a part of you, associate with you, most of the times that is exactly when you know you have finally found your calling. Do you know why? Because most of the times when you find your calling, when you discover your calling, you start to get out of your comfort zone and you step into that calling authentically. So your calling also allows you to become your authentic self, your authentic version. You know, there's no edits. You're not going to come around and sugarcoat things, say things that the other people want to hear. Most of the times your calling actually will make you even sometimes say the things that people do not want to hear. Because like I've said, sorry about the wind, guys. Like I've said, the things that you're talking about, they are making a lot of individuals, the people that you know, they are looking very deep within them, and a lot of guys do not want to do the work. So there's a lot of people, like on my channel, you guys know that I talk about narcissism. So of course, eventually, I know that I've met a lot of narcissists along my journey, and again, I don't condemn them. I don't have, I don't have that right to condemn them, and at the same time, I just leave them in their place. But I come out in my videos to create awareness and to put out more awareness out there, so that the people can learn how to protect themselves, and even those ones who are engaged in narcissism, they can always get out. So it's part of my calling. You know what I mean? But at the same time, as I'm working in my purpose, I also notice there's a lot of individuals that actually, when I'm talking, when I'm doing my videos, or sometimes when I'm doing what it is I came here to do, it also makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And guys, that is one of the things you're going to realize, because most of the times, when you're doing these little things about yourself, about your purpose, you're also going to start hitting on a lot of things. And a lot of people who might even know you, a lot of people who are in your circle, you're going to start talking about the things that they're actually going through. But remember, when you're dealing with a lot of people who don't want to change, that is exactly where the problem is going to come, because now you're going to be forcing them to look at themselves in the mirror. And a lot of them, guys, let me tell you something, none of them is willing to do that. So it comes to that point where sometime in the beginning, in the early days of your journey, your calling is going to make you uncomfortable. You know, sometimes you think you're doing the right thing. You know, sometimes your parents are against you. What are you doing? You know, no one has ever done this in our family. So who do you think you are? And all these kind of things. So people will call you names. Actually, in my videos, I've said sometimes even people they may call you crazy. So in my videos, I've also said sometimes you will see people calling you crazy. But the only reason why they are usually calling you crazy, that is because they are scared of the journey you've decided to take. Let me repeat this. So the reason why people call you crazy is because they are scared of that journey you decided to take, and they want you to get off the track. You know what I mean? They want you to get off that path and go back and do the things that they are usually doing, or the things that you have been doing before. So that's why the problem comes, because the journey becomes a problem in the beginning. I'm talking about the beginning, because it takes a lot of mastery. A couple of months down the road, it could take you about 3, 4, 5 months to get used to this. You know what I mean? Whatever it is you decide to do. And again, when I'm talking about calling, I don't always mean it has got to be life coaching. It doesn't have to be life coaching. It doesn't have to be a motivational speaker. It can be so many things. You can be an author, you can be a pianist, you can be whatever it is. A lot of people have got different kinds of gifts. But for the chosen ones, one thing you're also going to realize is that actually you have a lot of spiritual gifts. So let me tell you something, guys. This is where I want you to pay very close attention. Spiritual gifts are different from talents. Talents you can do with your hands, you can do with your legs, you can do with your body or something like that. But when you're talking about spiritual gifts, you're talking about the unseen. And most of the times when you're doing things that are usually unseen and bringing them to light, that is exactly whereby you're exposing a lot of dirty secrets for the people who are out there trying to hide. And that is exactly why it gets very, very tricky. So when we're talking about the chosen ones, we're talking about guys who have been blessed and anointed, especially by the universe, by God. And those individuals have got very deep spiritual gifts, and those gifts have got to come to fruition. So they have got to be presented out to the world so that they can help to help the world to create the world to become a better place, to make the world a better place. So most of the times those spiritual gifts, they take people by surprise, because remember, when you're talking about spiritual gifts, we are also talking about things that are from the fifth dimension. So they're from the fifth dimension, they're from the higher dimension, because remember, chosen ones, they are star seeds, they are rainbow children, they are all these kind of so chosen ones, there can be so many. There are so many types of chosen ones around the world, but each and every chosen one has been blessed with particular spiritual gifts. So those gifts are coming from the higher source, they're coming from the divine, and those gifts, that is exactly why you're going to see a lot of separation is going to happen in your life, because a lot of people, they're not used to this spirituality and the things about spirituality and everything. So a lot of people are used to the comfort of life in the 3D, in the matrix level, so in the 3D. So a lot of people, they are used to these low dimensional things. So when you starting to come out into your calling and doing whatever it is you have been assigned to do, because I've told you guys, those gifts are going to be revealed to you. So you're going to notice a lot of you have gifts of clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, and a lot of these other things. A lot of different. So when you're talking about spirituality, it becomes a wide range of subjects, because spirituality is infinite. When you're talking about spiritual wisdom and all these kind of things, the language of spirituality is infinite. We can talk about this forever. So everybody is blessed with the particular spiritual gifts. I'm talking about the chosen ones. Those are the guys who are blessed with particular spiritual gifts, and those gifts, when they come to light and the people start to see the things that you're doing, it is extremely, guys, let me tell you something. For the most of you guys who are talking about purpose and calling and life path, you're going to notice your life is going to start to move to a completely different direction, because you are going to start doing, you will start usually doing the things you have never thought about in your entire life to do. You're going to talk about things that nobody else wants to talk about, because on the fifth dimension, there is no frequency of fear. There is no fear, there's no hate, there's no resentment. You are going to notice that actually, no matter what the circumstances is, you're always going to talk about those things that you really have got on your soul, and you really, in your spirit, and you really want to talk about, without any fear, without any judgment, without any resentment, without any hate. So on the fifth dimension, we talk about the frequency of love. Normally, the frequency of love is exactly what is making people uncomfortable, because remember, a lot of people don't have love within them. So a lot of people have strayed a very long time away from the frequency of love, especially when talking about the things from the 3D. A lot of people who are very much embedded within the 3D, they are not vibrating on the frequency of love, which is exactly opposite to the guys who are vibrating on the fifth dimension. So the chosen ones, as you step into your calling, is just a video to make you aware. It's going to be hard, you know what I mean? In the beginning, it will be hard, it will be uncomfortable, because now you start to get out of your comfort zone. You started to think outside the box. You started to become your authentic version. You're becoming that person you came here to be. You're realizing that actually there is more to life than living a mediocre life, than living an ordinary life, a life that everybody else is living. You want to think different. You've always thought different eventually, but this time you want to show that actually you are thinking different, and nobody is going to stop you. So chosen ones, you have got to be aware. The time is going to come whereby you are going to completely start becoming unstoppable. Nobody can stop you. It does not matter who they are. Nobody can stop you. Not your wife, not your father, not your mother, not your family, not your best friends. Those guys that you have been with for quite a good number of years, nobody can stop you. You are going to step into your gifts and your calling authentically. So, as it happens that you find your calling, which I'm very sure you're going to do, as it happens and you find your calling, you have got to know that you're not alone. There's millions of people like you. Your tribe is out there in the world, and they're also doing the same thing that you're doing. They're also in their purpose, carrying out their calling. And you're not alone. You always have to remember you're not alone. The first thing what I realized when I was starting my path, I thought that I was the only one. I was like, wow, how come that I'm the only one who thinks like this? So sometimes even when I remember those days, people are starting to think that I was crazy. So I was starting to think that, wow, Are these guys actually right? They could be, actually these guys could be right that I'm crazy, because why is it that actually I'm the only one thinking like this? In my entire family unit and you know, the circle of friends and things like that, I was noticing that actually I was reasoning different and I was thinking different, and the path, guys, let me tell you something, it is not easy to come around and talk about narcissism. A person comes around and talks about narcissism because I've told you guys narcissism is spiritual. So a lot of guys who have discovered narcissism, they understand that it's spiritual. So there are some of them, of course, out there who are still thinking in the psychological terms and the scientific terms. But a person like me, I know that narcissism is spiritual. And when you're discovering something that has been hidden, the reason why narcissism is spiritual, because it has been hidden for years. Very few people talk about it. Your pastors don't talk about it. Your parents don't talk about it. Your friends don't talk about it. Even some people don't know about it. They don't even know what is narcissism. Do you know why? That's the reason, because narcissism is spiritual. So a lot of times when you're talking about these things that are spiritual, that is exactly what scares off people. People, they run away from you. Especially when you're talking about these toxic individuals. A lot of individuals who are toxic out there, the first thing they're going to do, they are going to run very, very far away from you, and they're going to become extremely uncomfortable. So you don't think so that talking about narcissism is very easy. Of course, I had challenges in the beginning, but as I kept on going and discover exactly the true authenticity of who I really am, I kept on stepping more into my purpose. And of course, that's how I became that person I am today. So a lot of you guys, you may find this along your journey. Let it not scare you. People, they will hate you. You will lose friends on your journey. You will choose a different direction. So people will call you names and all these kind of things. But I have to make you understand that it is part of the growth. So because the truth scares people. You guys already know it. The truth scares people. Authenticity also means talking about the truth. So when you're talking about the truth is scaring a lot of your friends and family members. And they don't want to be a part of you. That's the reason why you see you're starting to lose a lot of friends, because you're stepping into authenticity. So not everybody knows how to be authentic. A lot of people know how to hide behind closed doors. They will do a lot of tricks. They don't want somebody to know they are covert and these things like that. But when you're coming out authentically, you're just talking about the truth. On my channel, I've told you guys that I speak about the truth. It's a channel of truth. So when you're coming here, you will never find me sugarcoating things, lying about things or things like that. I'll just tell you exactly what you need to know. It may not necessarily be those things that you want to hear, but those are the things that you need to know that are going to help you to move you to the next level. So as you're talking about calling, guys, let me know if you found your calling. Let me know if you're on the way to find your calling. Let me know if you're still discovering your calling. And if you've done so, let us know in the comment section below. I've already told you what to expect. It may take you by surprise, but you don't have to worry, because you are not alone. We've been there, we're still there, and so many individuals and chosen ones around the world, they are also on that path. So let nothing shake you off. Let nothing scare you. Just keep going, and you're going to eventually discover that person you came here to be. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below, guys. I always love and appreciate your support. Guys, remember, book a session. We can talk about spirituality, we can talk about narcissism, personal growth, self-development. We can talk about anything. Book a session with me. And if you want to support and donate to this cause, to this channel, there is links you're going to see. The links you're going to see on this on the bottom of the screen. You can always use my Cashapp and PayPal, donate and support to this cause. I always love you, and I'll be back in touch with you in my next one. Much love and blessings. Desmos signing out, and peace.